Hey, Kate420, back again with a video that kind of really affects me personally. As most of you know, I'm a resident of New York State. So if you aren't from New York State, maybe you haven't heard very much about this. If you are from New York State, maybe you're hearing about it and you don't know what the F is going on and you need to know more. But either way, stick around because I swear, guys, like they're trying to make New York turn into some kind of like chaotic criminal nightmare. I'm not even, you guys know I'm not a judgmental person, first of all. We all know I did a bid. We all know I got a history. So before anybody gets upset and thinks that I'm about to um, be a judgmental prick, no, that's not it. This is like insane. There's a reason that people don't just commit crimes willy-nilly. And a lot of it is because 75% of society in the United States, 75% cannot afford a $500 emergency. Meaning, if I do this dumb shit right here and my bail is more than 300 bucks, I'm screwed. My whole life is over. So a lot of people have been able to control making stupid, irrational decisions by having that bail there as a deterrent. But if you don't know, New York just took cash bail away for everything except for severe violent felonies. And that even is questionable. Let's take a look. It's kind of scary, guys. It really is. Um, I'm not in New York City where they're feeling the brunt of it, but upstate New York has had some serious cases in the last few weeks as well. So, yeah. All right, let's get back up here. And of course, the man with the plan, remember this because he's going to be up for election soon, New Yorkers. This was his idea. His, de Blasio wanting to get rid of Rikers Island, I didn't think was such a big deal. But Cuomo wanting to do this is a nightmare. So it's a mess. Legislating failure and chaos with bail reform in New York. Let's see. All right, come on. There we go. All right. While the nation has been distracted by actions of Democrats in Washington as they continue to try to remove a duly elected president from office, that same political party continues to put its stamp of chaos on the city and state of New York. Let this sink in. Thousands of hardened criminals and dangerous suspects are walking free or will be in the soon in the Empire State thanks to what's dubbed as the new bail reform law. This law allows the immediate release without bail of what people of New York were told were accused non-violent felonies and certain misdemeanors. The new law does more than eliminate bail requirements of thousands of suspects. It ties the hands of the judges, eliminating their ability to use their own discretion. Instead, judges are now forced to release suspects with simple hope that they will show up for court in their next hearing. Predictably, even before the law became official on January 1st, New Yorkers and the nation saw news reports that shocked the conscience of all of us who rely on law enforcement and the justice system to keep innocent people safe in their own communities. Among those who have released so far, an alleged serial bank robber, an alleged serial slugger, and I'm not speaking of the baseball type. Yes, that man slugged a police officer on camera. He was released before the police officer got off shift. A woman who physically attacked multiple Jewish women while screaming Jew-hating insults at them. Classic hate crime, but was not violent enough to require bail. For a law that's supposed to only release nonviolent felons, those who have committed misdemeanors, you might be wondering how this has happened. How it happened is by design of the Democratic-controlled legislature in Albany. There's an actual list of crimes that fall under the bail reform law, which is extensive. But here's just a taste of the kind of suspects that Democrats think should be allowed to roam the streets. Oops, I went too far. Hold on. Get back up there. All right. Using a child to commit a controlled substance crime, meaning I sent my kid to go get pills from my neighbor. That's no longer requires bail. Now you will be released on your own recognizance. You think that person will be using discretion before they do that dumb shit next time? No. The same person that thinks in their head, I better not do that because I can't afford the bail, will no longer be thinking that. They'll be thinking, oh, I'll be released on my own recognizance, so let me do this dumb shit. Reckless assault of a child by daycare provider. You're telling me that's not a violent crime? My daycare provider recklessly assaulting my child? So much for daycares in New York. Menacing is a hate crime. Apparently, that's no longer a violent crime. Criminal obstruction of breathing, meaning strangling someone. So they just actually made this law in the last 10 years in New York because we had so many incidences of choking and strangling, and a couple that led to deaths. So they separated it and made a specific felony related to strangling only. And within 10 years, it's already been knocked down to such a piddly crime that there's no bail for it now. Oh, okay. Various degrees of arson, no longer a bail required crime. Killing a police dog, a police horse. Keep in mind, police dogs and horses are officers of the law, but now you can kill one and be treated as if you are a jaywalker. No one has ever thought to themselves, let me take out that police dog. Why? Because they're supposed to be equal to the police officer. But now knowing that you will be treated, like they said, as a jaywalker, you will not have a bail. You will be released on your own recognizance and then hope that you'll show back up to court. How many people you think are going to start taking out police dogs? Especially when the police are letting their dogs loose on them. How many people with weapons are going to actually shoot the dog instead of let the dog get them? Mark my words. It'll happen here in New York State. And pointing lasers at an aircraft. Money laundering in support of terrorism is no longer a bail required. So basically, if you're caught transferring money through different businesses or whatnot in order to eventually make it to an ISIS or Al-Qaeda supported group, it is no longer a felony, or no, maybe it's still a felony, but it's no longer a bail required crime. You will be released on your own recognizance and hopefully you show up in court. So Cuomo finally responds to the chaos unfolding and notes, we're going to work on it because there are consequences that we have to adjust for. There's no doubt that this is still a work in progress and other changes will have to be made. Well, isn't that nice? In the meantime, all these criminals are on the streets of New York already. Tiffany Harris, twice released without bail, getting arrested 3 times in 5 days on assault charges. She is accused of attacking multiple Jewish women. Every time she would attack one of these Jewish women, she would go in, see the judge, be released without bail, and be back out. And when she realized that was what was going to happen, she did it 5 times total, or 3 times in 5 days total. She was finally ordered. This is how the judge, because they tie the judge's hands. So the judge found a way to not have to put her back out in the street. She was finally held for psychiatric evaluation earlier this month after her latest bust. This result leaves many wondering, is the justice system now resorting to psychiatric holds on hate crime suspects as the only way to get her off the street? How is that justice reform? Amen. That is such a perfect statement. So from here on out, we're going to be seeing people psychiatrically held again. Mental hospitals are going to be opened up again. People are everything they do is going to be because of their mental health. And before you know it, we're going to have an unhealthy, over-treated and under under watched mental health, facilities across the country in place of jails. I guarantee they'll actually use empty jail buildings to start holding these people. The new soft on crime bail reform also played a world. Oh, I already read that part. Sorry. There's Jared Woodbury, a serial bank robber in Manhattan who pulled off 4 robberies at the Chase banks throughout Manhattan. The New York Post has reported because Woodbury allegedly robbed using a note rather than a gun. No New York jail can currently hold him. And he knows that. There's more. No matter how many times he strikes, his alleged grand larcenies are classified as non-violent felonies, meaning no judge can order him held pending his trial. Are you a little bit sick to your stomach yet? Because it's going to get worse. After his arrest and release, Mr. Woodbury said, "I can't believe they let me out," as he gathered his property at one police plaza. The police are again hunting for Mr. Woodbury, and if they do find him, it will be his 5th bank robbery in Brooklyn. He will again be released. So what is the incentive for police to put their bodies and for their lives and their family and everything that they are working so on the line to go after a man like this, to go find him and drag him in and arrest him if they already know that he cannot be held? Why would the police make an effort to look for someone like this? Or someone even more dangerous than this, if they know that the answer is they're going to be released? Former NYPD Commissioner Bill Bratton had this to say during a radio interview on bail reform. It's a mess. It's more than a mess. It's a disgrace in terms of what they put forth. And as the public learns more about it, the outrage will build, and hopefully they will reform the reforms. Moreover, the Democrat and Chronicle reported in the recent weeks, jail or counties in the state were estimating about 3,800 inmates total would need to be released who are already in jail awaiting trial. A survey by USA Today Network New York found. Sorry, guys, if you can hear that. This includes an estimated 880 in New York City. The obvious, immediate, simple solution would be to give judges discretion. No. Anyway, about whom to release into the community. But the legislating of failure and chaos is not new. Somehow for Democrats, there's no consideration of impacts of their folly on other people, whether it be Obamacare and the loss of health insurance with premiums that skyrocketed by thousands of dollars after promising the opposite. Well, now we have criminal justice reform gaslighting the population into supporting something that's actually the complete opposite of what was promised. In other words, it's another day in another city in another state that is completely controlled by Democrats. That's not it. That's just part. Let's talk about what else is going on at the same time. On top of these bail reforms, which we're going to get back to in 1 second, I just want you to understand that New York City is also a sanctuary city. This is actually a sanctuary state. So New York City has declined over 7,526 detainers, with murderers involved in those detainers. They were let go. Why? Because they were illegal immigrants and because we are a sanctuary state. So if I, K420, were to murder someone here in the state that I live in, my ethnicity says that I will go to jail. And, well, luckily enough, that is a violent felony and I will not get bail. But had I came across the border into this country illegally and was a non-citizen, and I moved to New York State and I lived here and worked here illegally, and I hustled on the streets, and I found myself in a position where I ended up killing someone, I'm going to jail, and I'm going to jail, and I'm going to do my time. There's nobody fighting for me, and even though I'm an American citizen and I have birthright, I don't think I should have any right to be released back to society. But I definitely don't think people who are here illegally should have a right to be released back into society after they've committed a crime like that. Anyhow, this is a Blue Lives Matter page. Yes, it is a more law enforcement positive page. I guess it's ran by law enforcement. So you have to kind of use your best judgment. However, if you notice, oh, it is off. Okay. So the green shield is not on, but it's also not red, meaning it doesn't have any judgment about it at all. Sorry. Ooh. Serial bank robber. Another one. So I believe this is the one in upstate. Yes. Okay. This is another one that's under the bail reform law, guys. This is upstate New York. Okay. Serial bank robber robs bank, gets released under New York reforms immediately. He was released. A 3-time convicted bank robber was released from jail without bail for his 4th robbery on Tuesday. Okay. Without bond. And guess what? I'm pretty sure 41-year-old Christopher Siemens was released on his own recognizance. And prosecutors told the judge that he qualified for no bond release under the state's new laws. Police arrested Siemens in connection with the robbery at Pioneer Savings Bank the day prior. CPD said in a Facebook post, Siemens kept his hand inside his pocket, barged into the bank, and demanded that a teller hand over the cash. He made off with an undisclosed amount of money. Investigators posted surveillance photos, suspects or pictures of him online, and hang on. Siemens was ultimately taken into custody by the New York State Police and the DeWitt Police Department and been charged with 3rd-degree robbery, 4th-degree larceny. Investigators found evidence related to the robbery at his residence, but the cash he stole was not recovered. So basically, he gets to come out, be released, go dig up where he buried his cash, and spend it on a good lawyer. Gee, thanks. He robbed another bank in New York in 2010. And in 2005, he was sentenced to 4 years for robbing banks in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Time Union. Excuse me, the Times Union said. Wow, Kate, wake up. Siemens was most recently released from federal prison in December of 2017. Despite his extensive criminal history, the cash he allegedly stole has not been recovered. Siemens was allowed to walk out of jail without bond on New Year's Eve in the light of the interest of the new bail discovery reform for 2020. Here's an example. And then they wrote, Happy New Year's, everyone, especially happy for our most recent bank robber. And then they put this up, New Year's so-called justice reform laws. Offenders found in possession of an array of weapons, including guns, switchblades, swords, machetes, stun guns, will now be issued a desk appearance ticket. So what's going to stop your 15-year-old son from trying to be cool like his friends, or stop him from gang banging and carrying a gun? Whatever, it don't matter where they're trying to do it or how they're doing it or who they're doing it with. What's going to prevent them from carrying a gun? If there is nothing, no jail over their heads. You guys went from all the way to the left. This way, sorry, yeah, this way. This way. I hate this. It's all the way to the right, all right? You know what I'm saying? You guys went back, like the Democrats that made these laws said, "Oh, it's so terrible that we're destroying people's lives, and they're giving too large sentences. They don't have a chance to come up with the bail because it's too high." And so you went from what was too much, according to many people. I'm not saying that myself. There's some that I thought were definitely in need of reform. Not all. But you're going from what was too much, and you're taking it, and instead of taking it down to like a middle ground where you still can't walk out of jail on your fourth bank robbery, or walk out of the police department on your fourth bank robbery. Like, there has to be a discretion from the judge based upon your history, based upon the crime, based upon a lot of things. What are you a danger to your community? He has, like, you're literally taking the right of the judge to use his discretion and his many years of experience away from him. Anyway, there's more. It gets worse. So this is the guy that sucker punched the cop, I think, when it comes up, which I don't know if it has a video with it. If it does, I'll try to play it. If not, there is a video out there. Look it up. It's sad. It's sad because you would think after seeing that and it going as viral as it did, this man would have been arrested and kept in jail, even if not for a week. You know what I mean? Like, didn't, or whatever, arraigned him and then let him sit there for a few days until a court date the following week. All I know is that this man was arrested. Look at this guy here. Here he is. Here he is. See him? Yeah. All right. This man was arrested for sucker punching an NYPD cop in Brooklyn. He was back on his old stomping ground Sunday, just 2 days after being released without bail, despite of a slew of charges. Stephen Haynes, 40, returned to Livingston and Court Streets in downtown Brooklyn, where police say he slugged and brawled with one of NYPD's New York's finest on Thursday, after being cut loose, irritating local merchants who say he's been a troublesome presence on the block for months. No bail, 3 hours, back in the same spot, Michael Vitello, general manager of Italian restaurant 2 doors down, told the Post. Do you understand what a slap in the face that is to the officers who put their lives on the line to do this type of work? And I'm not sitting here preaching, beating you over the head with law enforcement, love. I'm saying it as a what if, what if I was an officer and I was putting my time in my life on the line, knowing I got kids at home, whatever, to go out there every day and deal with guys like this who are willing to fight me on the street, irrespective of my authority. And the only thing I had to look forward to is, once I get you in handcuffs, your ass is going to suffer for a fucking little bit, because now you're going to jail. Now you got to find someone to bail you out, or you got to sit there until your time's up, till your money, until your days equal the amount of your bail, whatever. It comes first. That was always a deterrent, guys. The deterrent is gone. All right. So this, yeah. Okay. So this is the serial burglar, guys. This is someone who has broken into some people's homes over and over and over and over again. He was able to steal packages from Brooklyn buildings around Christmas, thanks to the New York State bail law, because they just kept releasing him. So he's been arrested. Anthony Mason, 50, was arrested for 9 burglaries in Prospect Lefferts Garden on December 23rd. He appeared before a judge on Christmas and was released, only to be busted, get this, for 6 more break-ins on January 3rd, cops said. He was released yet again, and then nabbed for ripping off a Manhattan sunglasses store on Wednesday. Because the deterrent is gone. That fear you put into you by spending a few days in jail trying to scrape up bail money or waiting for a judge to release you is gone. There's no more deterrent, you dumbasses. Like, who puts these people in power? People who don't even look into the way they vote, apparently. And this is a democratic institution that has brought us this fucking policy. Excuse my language. But I live here, and it's scary. So even Mason was stunned when he walked out of court for alleged burglary on West Village sunglasses store at Center Stage Optique A police officer said he saw Mason leave the store at 1:50 a.m. through a broken glass door carrying a stash of shades worth $3,995. He had a rock, a burglary tool of choice, in a suitcase, according to a criminal complaint. Look at this is him right here. Hold on. No, I went too far. I don't want to go too far. So it says residents in the building. No, hang on. I already it went too far. Let's keep going because I don't want to read just his whole story. You get it. Like, you get what I'm trying to tell you, right? Well, I want to explain to you some of the what's being done right now about it, because there is some things, some people that are fighting to get this taken care of. But this is the scariest part right here, and everybody needs to pay attention to what I'm about to tell you. Okay? Yeah. New reforms, these bail reforms, what they mean is that in these reforms, you guys, prosecutors will now have to hand over victim contact information to the defendants, the criminal defendants. I believe it's in 15 days. Let's see if I can play this.
Have you ever made a call to 911 to report a crime? Next year, if you do, your contact information will end up in the hands of the suspect police arrest. It's a new reality of New York's discovery reform laws taking effect just 12 days from now on January 1st. I spoke to a DA one-on-one for this CBS 6 Investigates report.
These are the areas that we have to fix.
Albany County District Attorney David Soares is dreading the conversations he knows he'll have to have with crime victims.
By the way, I have to provide your cell phone number to his lawyer in 2 weeks. I don't know how I'm going to have that conversation with a victim.
Today, the DA invited the media to listen in on his office's plan to comply with new
victim's
reforms.
family.
He stepped out to answer my questions one-on-one. Come January 1st, he says state law will mandate prosecutors hand over the contact information of victims and witnesses to criminal defendants within 15 days of arraignment.
There are people who call 911, report a crime, and hang up the phone. In 2 weeks, I have to turn over your real information to that person.
We have scanners, we have people working around the clock.
Right now, the DA's office is digitizing all of its evidentiary files, some dating back decades, so prosecutors can meet deadlines. Beginning January 1st, they must also hand over any evidence pertaining to a case within that 15-day period. So if you're unable to meet the deadlines, does that mean high-profile cases could be dismissed?
Yeah.
That means high-profile cases can be dismissed.
Because sometimes evidence doesn't come in
DAs
15
used to
days.
hand over the evidence to the defense as they received it. He tells me he's unsure how DAs will get evidence such as toxicology results and DNA evidence.
Those take 9 to 10
within
weeks.
that 2 weeks.
When we pointed that out to the governor's office, that they need to increase staffing at the labs, they just basically shrugged their shoulders.
Now, we did reach out to the
Governor
governor's
Cuomo.
office for comment on the DA's concerns. A spokesman for the governor said DAs can ask the judge for a 30-day extension if evidence can't be reasonably obtained within the 15 days. And he sent me a statement saying, in part, we carefully considered the views of law enforcement to ensure we enacted balanced reforms that were long overdue and will bring greater fairness to New York's criminal justice system. Now, because of the concerns brought forward by prosecutors and law enforcement, 2 Republican lawmakers want the reforms placed on hold, and they're calling for a special session to address the problems.
The point is, we're representing our constituents. The point is that these are wrong-headed policies that I think are going to come back, and people are going to go, how did that possibly happen?
Senate Republican leader John Flanagan and Deputy Republican leader Joseph Griffo called on lawmakers earlier today, saying the state should press the pause button on reform. And last month, Senator Jim Tedisco and Assemblywoman Mary Beth Walsh called for the same, requesting a 1-year delay on implementation. They want the law amended before it ever takes effect.
Too late. It took effect. So, as you all know, it took effect And here we are. And I've just showed you the multiple instances in the first 2 weeks of this law that are absolutely cases of what the F is going on. So last but not least, I want to do a quick fact checking the New York bail uproar. Okay. So it says it can help you understand the real issue, I guess. Let's see what they say, because I tried to do both sides and this is more of a, it says, let's separate the hype and confusion from the real issues. Now, I just read to you all the cases of people who literally got let go. Not hypothetical cases, literal cases of people who have been released under this new law. This says, in general, nice word, general. When you use that word general, you can pretty much say anything after that, because anything you say after that is generally bullshit. Only violent felony charges can result in bail under the new law. That includes murder, forcible rape, and illegal weapon possession. Well, we already know that doesn't count because we just were told that that would result in a desk ticket. Among other lower level felony charges like perjury, lying under oath, or statutory rape of a 15, 16-year-old girl are exempt from bail under any circumstances. There's no bail allowed for charges related to drunk driving fatalities or unintentional homicide. So now if you're driving drunk and you kill your friend sitting in the passenger seat, you will not have to go sit in a jail cell and think about what you did and go through that terrible guilt of killing your friend. You will get to get bailed out. No, that's right. Oops, no bail. You'll get to get released on your own recognizance and given a ticket to appear in court, while the other person will be put in the ground. However, and that's really going to stop. How's that really going to stop? Drunk driving, by the way. That's only going to increase the drunk driving. So a defendant's prior criminal history, no matter how bad it is, cannot be used to hold someone on bail unless the current charge permits it. This is why I was going to bring this case up. I didn't. A Rochester man who shot a police officer. He shot a police officer about 6 years ago. Just got out. He was a minor when he did it. He just got out. He faced new drug charges this week, like real big drug charges, but had to be released. Why? Because they were a nonviolent felony. Had his history been allowed to be brought in, that he already had this really bad felony and he was getting a second chance just being on the streets, they probably would have got either a very high bail or no bail, and he would have been remanded to jail. Some burglary and robbery charges can result in bail, others cannot. The big factor is whether or not there was a weapon or injuries involved. Some unusual charges like escape from custody cannot result in bail on their own. Escaping is not considered a violent offense. However, that used to give you 7 years when you escaped from custody, you guys. It would add 7 years to whatever sentence you were already facing, and now you don't even get a bail. Do you understand how insane this is? Excuse me. Some unusual okay, I did that one. Someone's repeated absence. Oh, sorry. However, assaulting a jail deputy during an escape would be a charge allowing for bail. Well, I'll be damned. Someone's repeated absence from court cannot automatically result in bail. Absent a court hearing in which is proven that absences were willful and persistent. It's too early to know how judges will decide those factors. The purpose of the law is to give poor people the same pre-trial freedom that people with money have. I don't know, guys. I mean, I've been in jail with people who got money. And the thing is it all depended on the judge's discretion. If the judge felt like that person with money was still going to go back out and repeat the same behavior anyway, because they had a history of repeating that same behavior and they wanted to teach them a lesson, they had the discretion to lock them up without bail until another hearing or whatnot and give them some time to think. Isn't that the whole point? What the is going on, New York? Come on, man. Is it like, are you trying to make the state implode on itself?